Okay.
So they looked at the date of the skin, date of
The Birmingham
material.
Folios in 2015. Remember that when that was all over the news? BBC ran it front and center. Do you remember this in 2015? The oldest Qur'an has now been discovered because they took a part of the Birmingham Folios, they took it to Oxford laboratories, they carbon dated it from 568 to 645. Muhammad was born in 570 and died in 632. So this covers the lifespan of Muhammad. And what did they say immediately?
Miracle of Islam is Muhammad received his revelation 2 years before he was born.
Now, most Muslims would say, forget about the first dates because the first dates predate Muhammad's life. Let's go to the latest date, 645.
That's a discredit what Uthman did. According to Islamic tradition, Uthman ordered everything to be burned. But we have many scripts. According to Muslims, they are written down 5 years before Uthman burned
7 years
everything.
before Uthman down. Now,
652,
can you
yeah, sorry.
see why Muslim scholars have not supported that manuscript? They realize there's a problem here. And the problem is carbon dating. Because if you're going to use that carbon dating, you've got to use these carbon datings. You've got to use not just the Oxford, you've got to go to Lyon in France, you've got to go to Kiel in Germany, you've got to go to Zurich in Switzerland, and you've got to go to Oxford, the 4 major carbon dating laboratories here in Europe. They are now carbon dating the Sana'a manuscript, considered to be the greatest manuscript, right? And what are the dates they're getting for the Sana'a manuscript?
It starts from 390 to goes to 650.
550.
Yeah, but all together, when you put them all together.
These 4 here, from all 4 laboratories for the Sana'a A, go from 390 to 550. What's the problem with that?
Muhammad was not even conceived. Islam has not even started.
Muhammad wasn't even born for 20 years.
Not 20 years, right? 330.
Well, 390. That's over 100 years.
300.
They already have manuscripts of the Sana'a manuscript. So how is it that you can get the Sana'a manuscript from Surah 18, Surah 19, and Surah 20 that is from 4th century when Muhammad doesn't even appear on the scene until the 6th century?
So 200 years before the birth of Muhammad, we have the Quranic manuscripts.
Okay, what's going on here? And what do you think's going on here, Hassan?
We cannot trust the carbon dating when it comes to the dating of the manuscripts because they give us different dates. They give us different dates and we cannot trust that.
That's one answer. There's another answer. Let's just say hypothetically that the Birmingham Folios are correct. What do they contain? Surah 18, Surah 19, and Surah 20. What do they talk about?
Surah 19 is about Jesus. Surah 18 is about Moses. Surah 18 is Alexander the Great. Surah 20 is about Moses. So those stories which were known to the mankind before.
Okay, let's look at the stories a little bit more carefully. In Surah 18, we have the story of Dual Qur'an, which is Alexander the Great. That is well known by 390, am I correct?
Yes.
Because Alexander the Great lived in the 3rd century BC, has 3 biographies written about him. So if it is 390 is correct, that would make sense. Surah 20 and 19 and 20 talk about the 7 sleepers of Ephesus. That was a well-known story by the 3rd and 4th century AD, am I correct?
So Islam, the writings confirms the stories which were existed before Islam.
Before Islam, and they were well known by the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, up until the 6th century. If the carbon dating is correct, these just tell us really that these are the earlier stories. Why? Because much of the Quran has been borrowed. It comes from these sources.
Why did Allah, I wouldn't say borrow, because I don't see in anywhere Allah got a permission from someone else to put those verses in the Quran.
Okay,
why
stolen.
did Allah stole the stories which are are not in the previous books.
They were going to give them back later on.
So
all right?
what do you do?
Be nice to them.
What do you do to the people who steal the things in Islam? You chop their hand off. So should we chop the right hands of Allah? But that's different.
Okay, here we go. So if this is the case now, Hatun, if this is the case, where is that earliest Quran? Why is it we're still asking the same question?
Yahya, we are asking, where is your earliest Quran, Yahya? So,
Hey, Muslims, where is your
Simple
earliest
question.
Quran?
I'm coming over.
where is the
I'm coming
earliest
over.
Quran?
The Quran was recited orally by the Prophet, and it's not possible that after 23 years you come and claim.
Prove it.
Yeah.
Prove it.
Did you know, see, he is not saying it was written down. He is saying it was orally recited. How many of you believe that? But yet, the Muslims claim it was written down at the time of Uthman. Why does he now walk away?
Jay, also remember something about oral tradition. If oral tradition was so perfect, if oral tradition is so powerful, then why do we have Sunni Muslims and Shia Muslims? They both of them come from the oral tradition, and their oral tradition is different. That
I want to see a
tells us
written Quran. I want to see a written Quran. Where is this written Quran?
I want to see that too.
The Muslims claim that it was written down.
I heard last time Muslim made a claim that they have gotten 96% of their written Quran.
Okay, let's go back. 1 minute, let's go back to May 26th. May 26th, we were both on the ladder, were we not? And Mansour got on the ladder next to us. And what did Mansour say on May 26th?
They have got the Quran which goes back to the oral tradition as well as textual
Textual
tradition.
history of
from
the
the
Quran
first century
back
of
to
Islam.
Uthman. Not just oral, textual history of the Quran back to Uthman. So that means that there is a complete text of the Quran from the time of Uthman, 652 AD. So what's your name?
You know my name,
No,
or you
what's your
forget? No, you know my name.
No, I
exactly.
forgot. What's your name?
You forget to ask her, because I guess
I'll tell you what it is.
everybody knows my
Abdul.
name. Everybody knows my name.
Do you know his name? Nobody knows my name. So let's go ahead. So here we go.
The name is Sayyid F11. The name is Sayyid F11. Yahya, who always condemn all of you according to your Bible with reference.
Okay, here we go. Yahya. Is his name Yahya?
Yeah, Jay, sorry. When people don't know basics about their Islamic tradition, I think we should engage with him later. So
Okay.
can
But
we?
nonetheless, where are you a scholar of Islam?
No?
Okay, we need a scholar here. Well, let's go ahead and ask. According to Mansour Ahmad, who did say this, he said there was a textual history all the way back to 652, the back to Uthman. So here's the question we're asked. If there is a textual history all the way back to Uthman, that means the Muslims have to provide a manuscript from the time of Uthman, 652, 114 surahs, complete Quran that is unchanged. The same Quran that we have in our hand today. It must look just like this. Do you know of any Muslim that has a Quran from 652, 114 surahs that looks just like this?
So he admitted 114 surah, and we know that we have only one Quran orally being written down with the Prophet.
We don't want to hear oral. We don't want to hear oral. You can make up anything oral. I want a written text. Now that was the claim that
In this world where that Quran is right now, okay? Any museum.
But from the 7th century.
From the 7th century, or even the 8th century, or even the 9th century.
Why not the 10th century?
Why not the 10th
Why not the 11th century?
Just go with the 7th century.
You're going to see that there is not even one Quran, even the 11th century. But let's start with the 7th century.
May I answer? May I answer?
Where is it, Yahya?
answer that. Where is it?
Where is it?
Where is it?
He won't know. He won't know.
You never know.
We
You
have
might know.
every month of Ramadan recitation of the Quran, which is memorized by all people. When
This is different than what you are holding. Which one he recites? Ask him which one he recites.
when the Imam make any
Which Quran does he recite during Ramadan?
I was very specific.
Do you recognize this Quran right here?
Which one?
This is
don't?
an Arabic Quran written by Hisham ibn Ahmad. Is this the same as this Quran that I have in my hand right here?
Or which Quran do you recite during Ramadan?
Kindergarten. There are 1,347 differences between these two Qurans. These are both Arabic Qurans. Yet there are 1,347 differences between the Hafs Quran and this one by Hisham ibn Ahmad. So which Quran did they memorize?
Ask him which one he recites during Ramadan. Yeah. Which one do you recite during Ramadan? I have two options. Tell me which one do you recite?
It depends about who prints this one and who gives the authority for this one. Because we use the Saudi one. And
You use the Saudi one.
Did you hear it?
anyone.
We're okay. Hold on. We used the Saudi one.
Only the Saudi one.
Hold on. We're going to tell you when that was created. Hold on. This gets better and better. We used the Saudi one. Remember that. Let's continue on. We'll come back to you.
Okay, no problem.
I love you. It's good to see you again.
Hey, we need to get some ice. Ices.
Okay, well, we remember we are talking about the Arabic Quran in the 7th century, 652, 114 surahs, unchanged. That's the question you're looking for. And you all want the answer, don't you?
Well, except in the 11th, 10th century one, Jay. I've asked this
Don't
question
go
many
that
times. They've never answered me this question.
Now, on
Where
May
is the
26th,
existing Quran
on May
today?
26th,
Today.
go up on DCCI, go up on Fender Films. We filmed what Mansour said. Mansour, you notice, is not here today.
He's over there,
He
Jay.
was over there, but he's now left.
He's over there.
But can you see? He got up on the ladder like he put his ladder next to us, and he said, "We have a textual history that goes back to the time of Uthman." He didn't say Muhammad. He said Uthman. 652. I immediately turned to him. Go look at the video and see what happened next. I say, "Okay, Mansour, show me one manuscript of one Quran that's 114 surahs that's from the time of Uthman." What did Mansour say? He was quiet. He didn't answer. So I gave him a second option. Okay, show me one manuscript that's 114 surahs that's within the 7th century, 699. He said, "You're not listening to me." That's not what I said, he said. I said, this is Mansour saying, that we have the complete Quran by the 1st century AH, after Hijrah, the first Islamic century. Now, when did the first Islamic century go to? From 622 to when?
721.
719. I said 721 because I gave him 2 extra years. But the first Islamic century goes from 622 to 719. I said 721 on the day because I wanted to give him a little bit more leeway. He said, "We don't have a complete Quran. We have 97% of the Quran by 721. What does he mean by 97%?
Which 97%?
But hold on a minute. Is that 100%?
No.
So there still is no Quran that is complete, 114 surahs by 721 AD. Now I want to show you what he meant.
What about the
And
9th
there is
century,
still no Quran in the 8th century, 114 chapters with 6,236 verses.
How many versions of the Bible you have?
It's your Quran. It's your Quran we're talking about.
Do we make this claim about the Bible? No. Do we have the originals?
No.
No, we don't. None of us make that claim. We would never make that claim. But the Muslims are making that claim. So here we go. In order to understand what Mansour was saying, he's looking, you need to go to the Islamic Awareness website, which is the website today that houses all of the Qur'ans. It's the most extensive website in the world today. It's headquartered at Cambridge University.
It's one of them.
It is the one you need to go to see all the earliest manuscripts. Now, this is the graph they have to get 96%. You notice it starts very small and gets bigger, 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 bigger. By the 100 years, they have 96%, but they don't have 100%. Is this one Quran?
No.
How do you know?
Because
Turn the page. This is the next graph they have. How did they get 96%? That is it right there. They had to go to 63 different Qurans to find that 96%.
that's what I just said. No.
But hold on a minute. Are any of them complete?
The
first one-
Have you ever read it? Have you ever anyone read the Quran?
I've read it.
Have you ever
Just
read
look
it?
at the
Or you
graph.
just like
Where's
follow?
Abu Bakr?
You just without any reflection.
Yeah. Where is
No, what I'm saying.
What does this graph say? That's the percentage of every one of these manuscripts. So the best one is the 2165. It only has 57% of the Quran. That's the best they've got. That's the best they've got.
Let me make a
The
point.
other ones are 22, 22, 22, 19, 17, 15, all the way to only a few ayahs.
He went from 97
63
to 96
fragments.
to 57.
53 fragments. It gets better than that. It gets better than that.
It got better, yeah.
Have the Muslims on the Islamic Awareness website, have they read any of these manuscripts?
Yes.
Have they
The Muslim recited this Quran in continuous way. Why you say no? Why you say no?
Yeah.
How do you know?
have they read any of these manuscripts?
How do you know?
The manuscripts they never read because they do not recite the same Quran what they are reading today.
Jay, do these still exist?
Can you
There are
see?
63
He says they
manuscripts.
recited it. Have any of them recited these manuscripts? What do they recite today? Do they recite this one?
They
Or do
recite
they
this one.
recite this one? They have to recite this one. So here's the million-dollar question, Yahya. Is this the same as these?
I don't know what's this because
You don't know.
But I know when
And neither do the Islamic Awareness website.
when somebody
They haven't even read these manuscripts. Why have they not read these manuscripts?
Scared.
Because Muslims do not ask this question. This is not a question Muslims would ask. Only we ask this question because our Bible has already gone through this test. How do we know what our Bible is? We go to all the earliest manuscripts, am I correct? We look at all the 2.6 million pages of the Greek manuscripts. We tabulate what they all say and we come to a finalized text. That's called historical criticism.
Let me just make a point, Jay. So there are 63 manuscripts where Muslims try to put together 96% of the Quran. Even though with these 63 manuscripts, still they do not have approximately 80 verses of the Surah 2.
Did you hear that? Surah 2 is the largest surah in the Quran, is it not?
Yeah. 286 verses.
286 verses. It's the largest surah in the Quran, and they're missing, all of them are missing what?
So when you put those manuscripts together, you get to have 174 verses. Approximately 100 verses are still missing.
So of these that they have listed here, 170 verses are missing. Now why did they say that?
So approximately 10 of those manuscripts have the Surah 2. And approximately 100 verses of the Surah 2, still we do not have it. No, that's Surah 24.
Now can you see? They took a surah here, they took a few ayahs there, they took another few ayahs here. Can you see how small they are? Every one of these are nothing more than fragments. And by adding them all together, they get 96% of the Quran by 719. Is this a complete Quran? No. Do you see any complete Quran here? So number one, there is no complete Quran. Almost 100 years after Muhammad, they still don't have a complete Quran.
And those are not the same with what we are reading today.
Do these equal, are they parallel with the Quran we have today? We don't know, because they've not read any of them. Now here's the other question. Are all of these prior to 719? We wanted to find out. So we went and did a research. Take a look at what we found. Every time you see an arrow, see those arrows? All of these arrows, 19 of them, are all after 719. They do not, there is no agreement on their dates. These are tentative dates. The scholars do not agree that they are prior to 719.
Let me give the name of the manuscripts.
Take a look at how many of them are the biggest Qurans there. Do you notice? Most of them are the largest Qurans there. Proving that this claim that these all go back prior to 719 is a lie!
Welcome to the world of Islam. So manuscripts which is in British Library identified by the Islamic Dawah team as the 1st century Hijra manuscripts. Yet it is identified by the scholars not the 1st century Hijra but late 8th century or early 8th.
Remember, Martin Links dates it to 790, so late 8th century. This is not prior to 719. This is 790. That's a whole 70 years later. But it only goes up to Surah 53. It's missing most of the Surah. Not most, sorry, that's not quite correct. It's missing much of the Quran. Can you then see why we're asking this question? So here's the million-dollar question. Since we now know there is no complete Quran up on the 1st century of Islam, up to 719, we know that there's no Quran that's 114 surahs. We know that they claim there's 96% of the Quran. We now dispute that because 19 of the ones they claim, and the biggest ones they claim, are all after 719 by most reckoning of most scholars. There's going to be an awful lot of argument between yay and nay. So here's the next question. Is there a complete Quran by the 8th century?
Complete and exactly the same Quran.
If you don't know, say I don't know, because you are going to lose 1 million. And if you
those are the simple questions. Muslims should know about them. We are not asking you explain us the quantum physics. We are asking you where is the simple Quran? 114 chapters, exactly the same with the Quran what you are reading today from 8th century. Simple question. None of you needs to be Einstein.
Can you tell me where is the complete 114 surah 8th century Quran? Where can I go? Like the British Museum, anywhere in the world, maybe the top cabin, maybe, I don't know.
We're going to tell you before we end today. We will tell you the answer to this. But you're not going to, he's not going to like our answer. But hold on to that question.
Pick up any copy of the Quran and read it and you will find 114 chapters.
2019.
It's the 2 different copies, brother.
What is claiming? What is claiming?
Yeah, which one of them?
97 to 96 to 54. And this is the contradiction.
Okay, let's continue on. Can you see? Already now pretty much delineated. Hold on. We already pretty much delineated that there is no complete Quran in the 1st century up till 719. There is no Quran up to the 9th century or the 10th century or the 11th century. No Muslim has been able to produce a complete Quran, 114 surahs, even by the 11th century. We're still waiting. So when was the Quran finalized? Hold on to that question.